Hey, good morning, everyone. Can you hear us? We're about to start. There's a sheet going around. If you guys can please complete that. I know it's scattered around the statements here. That'll help us keep you informed on the SiG activities. With that, who do you want to come here and introduce us?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out this Sunday morning. My name is Lewis Hopkins. It's a deal time. We have Barry Greenhook from Oracle here as well. So I'm just going to start with a little bit about the OAUG. And I'll try and get through that fairly quickly because they're actually outside the door, as you may have noticed. So if you're not a member already, you can obviously go and talk to those guys. Bill's going to be doing a case study, and then Barry's going to be talking at the end. We'll also have time for some Q&A, so it's really the first opportunity for you to come with any questions that you have around the GRC space. You'll also notice this year that the layout's slightly different, so just outside these sessions are the demo grounds. So the idea being that for the rest of Open World, once the session is finished and you're interested in Oracle technology, you'll be able to go directly to those booths and talk a little bit more. Just want to open up a little bit about the OAUG. So if you're not a member already, please go and talk to the guys outside. There is some savings to be made on membership while you're at Open World, and there are some prizes being given out as well. So the OAUG particularly participates in Open World, Collaborate, and there are a number of other events throughout the year as well, such as Connection Point. There are some free educational resources as well. So membership not only gives you the opportunity to come to these sessions, to attend webinars, but also to get hold of webinar recordings and conference papers. There's also a customer support council, and if you get involved with these, it gives you the opportunity to get directly involved with feedback to Oracle, and to get involved with the things that you'd like to see in the technology that you're using day to day. Before I move on and let Bill take over, this is the Governance Risk and Compliance SiG, and we are always looking for case studies, for opportunities for education. So we'll be starting the next round of looking at things like webinar content for next year's Collaborate conference. So if you have something that you want to share, if there's something that you feel you want to present on, then please take the sign-up sheet, put your name down, come and see us after the session, and we can talk and see what we can do for any future events. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Bill. We're down to 45 minutes this year, so we're going to try and focus as much as we can on the content.
Thanks, Louis. Thank you again, everybody, for joining. It is a quick time slot, so we'll get through some important topics. My name is Adil Khan. I'm the Managing Director of Fulcrum Wave. We specialize in governance, risk, and compliance for the last 14, 15 years. And we're pretty excited about talking to you about a new topic, which is cloud. Oracle's, if you go outside in the Stoney Center, everywhere you see the cloud, and I'm sure many of you have talked. But a piece of cloud that actually fits into what we call GRC, which is the Financial Risk and Compliance Cloud. So we'll specifically talk about some success stories. We've had some recent new wins and projects we have underway. But before I jump in, just kind of an idea of how many of you have heard of the Oracle Risk Management Cloud with a show of hands. Anybody installed it, has purchased it, or has looked at it in the demo grounds? Show of hands, okay. So it's still a pretty new product, and I guess it's been around. Barry will talk more about dates and timelines, but it's a pretty decent product, and we're excited that all these customers you see, by the way, have actually either Oracle customers like borrowed a slide from Oracle Marketing to show you that these companies are either have purchased or implementing around the world, right? So I think last time I checked with the product team, there were over 50 companies that have it. So it is taking a fast, moving forward. So we picked on a couple of customers that we have worked with, and specifically one customer that is actually outside of US in Dubai. I want to talk about them a little bit. Also, there's a number of other workshops throughout the week on GRC. So there's a session, for example, I'm doing on the same customer, a more deeper dive on Tuesday. If you can search your Google GRC, say GRC sessions, I think they're under that, and you'll find it. So just a bit about Fulcrum Wave. We specialize in risk management as our space. So we will do a risk-based assessment of your management controls, for example, segregation of duties, your configuration and so forth in your current system, provide you some advice on how to put controls in to remediate risk that might exist. Whether it's a business process like procure to pay, order to cash, etc., or financial reporting. We are certified by Oracle, so we go through various specializations. We're right now going through that process with this new product. So if you have any questions, deeper dive about our customers we're talking about here, or other just general GRC areas, please stop by our booth that this is down there. So I'll spend most time talking about our customer case study and why customers are moving to the risk management cloud. So some of the key issues that NAFCO had raised with us was around spreadsheets. So NAFCO is in the business of fire extinguishing equipment. The company based out of Dubai, they have, it's about $1 billion privately held company. They address the needs of firefighting equipment and manufacturing and distribution throughout the Middle East and Africa, all the way from Egypt and North Africa to down in Bahrain and other states that are within the Middle East, all the way to North Africa. So the challenge we had when we met with them is they were doing all their audits in spreadsheets. And the challenge that the head of audit brought up to us was that spreadsheets were getting changed. They didn't have any controls over it. And as a result of that, some of the audit findings were not reliable. They were also wanting to leverage the reporting that was coming out of their ERP system. They used the Oracle E-Business Suite. However, they were very interested in the cloud because cloud gives them the ability to scale throughout the different regions that are pretty fragmented. So they asked us if there was anything from Oracle available on the audit side or the compliance and management reporting side. And so we looked at some of their spreadsheets. There were some inconsistencies. For example, in one place they call purchasing audit. The other place they call it procurement. So when the findings were coming in to management, they weren't lining up. And we identified that as a key issue, right? And we have also seen surveys where if you use spreadsheets, there are a number of problems with them, right? There's not any significant change controls on them. Who owns the spreadsheet? And I'll talk a little bit about specific challenges that NAFCO was facing. So there's inherent risk they saw within the approach they had at the time. And these were the top 5 issues we identified for them. So who owns the spreadsheet, for example, the tester or the control owner, management person that runs the control, and what's the right version of the truth? That was one of the issues. The other thing was skill sets, right? So they were doing these very complex logical computations on data that they were extracting from reports from E-Business Suite using Discover and other tools. And the source of data was always open, right? So when they have an audit period, you want to make sure that your data sources covers that period of the audit, and they could not substantiate that. So that was a defect in their audit process. How to manage those audit policies and procedures were difficult to manage because it was all in Word documents and so forth, and it wasn't consistently followed across different parts of the market. And let me back up, and there's like 12 auditors, by the way, that are working in this organization, which is operating in 30-some countries, right? So it's a significant amount of effort that they were doing manually without any policies and procedures to do that. Limited reuse of application data. So as mentioned earlier, they were using e-business suite. They are using e-business suite rather, but they weren't able to fully extract the data to perform, to get their findings out of the system, right? And this is an area where Poker may work together to help. Change controls, security, backups, all of those things that you expect from an enterprise level system, trying to do that in spreadsheets is difficult. So those are some of the pain points that we discovered in our initial study of the business. Who's impacted? So that's important because it's not just the audit department, although that's where we opened up the conversation. And many of you may see the same thing if you audit your audit organization, if you talk to your audit teams. You'll find that those people feel the pain of meeting deadlines, using spreadsheets and so forth. But it was also across the other areas of the silos of the organization. They had risk management group that was just recently forming to look at enterprise risk. Their external auditor dependent on these spreadsheets. Various process owners, the managers that actually run the payables department. And they did something unique at NAFCO, which is that even though they have a three-way management, as an example, one of the controls in their prepare-to-pay cycle, because they couldn't rely on the spreadsheets, they were actually, once the payables department approved the payment to be processed, they would go back into audit, and audit would re-review those controls in real time, and only then issue the payment. So duplication of effort to ensure the controls are in place. So they would go and retest the supplier for compliance. They would go retest the invoice against the PO, against the received goods, right? So you're redundantly running tests because you can't rely on the content of the data source. So again, that's costing process owners effort, it's costing auditors time. And ultimately, there's frustration at the executive management board level. It's a privately held company, so they don't have a requirement to report outside, which is most of our customers in North America, have a Sarbanes-Oxley compliance issue that they have to manage, right? But these companies, this company specifically, and a couple others we work with, really looking to improve the overall management controls for the sake of improving the company. So in short, I'll say that the whole enterprise is impacted with a manual audit and compliance process. And so when we kind of set up some of the initial work, discovery sessions to understand what people were saying in different groups, we talked to the management team, and management team was saying, well, if we had time, we would go in and review those spreadsheets, look at the changes, but usually it's a month-end time, and that's not the right time for us to go in and we just don't have time. So, they're busy doing the close, making sure the numbers are reported, but the controls over those numbers were not getting tested very well. And then, other areas like excuses, if you will, that hey, we just if we don't think there's too many changes that are happening. We tested it last year. We don't think there's been many changes since last year. So those are the types of comments that maybe it's not as significant, but again, you're making a gut call instead of actually looking at it qualitatively and quantitatively. And the last point, again, around changes. What changes can be absolutely made, and what documents and so forth. So change management is not something you can eyeball in spreadsheets. So those are some of the key concerns managers said we just did not have at the end of the day time to do that. We also spoke with the audit organization and see some of their concerns. And what we found in a nutshell is that they're dependent quite a bit on management to provide accurate spreadsheets because they don't have time to go and review everything that management is doing in terms of a control test. So again, it's there's no collaboration going on here, which is a big advantage of cloud, as you'll see in a second. So they only check the high risk. It's totally fine to take a risk-based approach, but where do you draw the line, and how do you make sure that it is within the threshold of your risk tolerance levels, right? So those were some of the concerns from internal audit. Periodically, so as minor changes or variances that are coming in, how do you check for those, right? So if there's minor changes, maybe you accept them. But those minor changes that we've seen in the news as early as this week, I guess, or last week, where Wells Fargo reported a control failure, essentially, right? They had 1,000 accounts that salespeople opened to earn commissions, and now the market cap for that small control failure cost them over $1 billion. So there are no minor issues when it comes to audit and control testing. Either it's effective or it's not. So around the same thing, we heard, relying again on the business users to provide the accuracy of the control itself, because you're not able to independently verify that easily, right? Because you don't know the source of the spreadsheet data. So again, what you're seeing here is the ability to capture the data around the test plans, rely on that test plan, and then ensure that the control is effective consistently throughout the year, continuously. Right? So those are some of the challenges that Oracle Risk Management Cloud helps us find solve. So I'll let Barry get into the deeper dive on the product in the limited time we have. So then, as we said, there's product demos that you can go and see in detail. But what they liked about Risk Management Cloud and how we came to a business case was the ability to take their current spreadsheets for risk and control matrix, for risk assessments, for audit planning, audit execution, and actual controls that get tested, for example, three-way management, and put them all into this cloud application. And what worked well for us is the company had a directive from top down to be a cloud-first company. So they were already implementing the Oracle Sales Cloud and were very comfortable with the Oracle Cloud platform, and they had seen some early wins in their business with it. So this was a natural for them. And they liked the documentation capability and the ability to not only collaborate within their teams in the central headquarters, but also in the field with their auditors and managers that were siloed. Being able to plan the assessments, remove some of those controls, put them in the system, enforce those controls, completing the assessments, and doing the remediation, issue management, certify the controls. So this simple application does not require a lot of ramp-up time, right? Because everything is provisioned by Oracle. And we have the advantage of having some customer service folks that Oracle's assigned to us as their partner to make sure that the technology all works, right? So it's a new technology. Anything new would have more chances of errors and things like that. So they're providing us that extra hand-holding as partners, which enables us to kind of fast path through the support issues and get to the resolution quickly. And that was a big advantage that the customer already had seen in the other implementation. So basically, this is where we started to map these requirements and then look at a business case. And we came up with basically two sets of requirements around enterprise risk function. They were management controls and they were audit controls. So the audit organization wanted to take a deeper dive into the audit side. So if you're familiar with products like Teammate, others where you need to do audit scheduling, audit planning, and so forth, and also sampling of data, right? Those functions are not part of Risk Management Cloud, but Fulcrum Wave has actually built those out into a tool called Audit management platform, basically. So they were able to take advantage of those pure audit functions using Fulcrum Wave, and then for management controls, leverage the Risk Management Cloud out of the box, standard functionality. So we were able to meet all the requirements using this approach. And from a technology perspective, it all is seamless to the customer. They can access the cloud, whether it's audit or the management control, using smartphones and devices that are available, for example, for issue management. So technology is already there. And there's So that's an advantage, being able to have a seamless access on many devices. I just listed a few of the general return on investment type areas that you might consider based on what we learned from NAFCO. These are some of the areas that they believe where their investment pays off. So just the productivity benefits, and that's what I really emphasize most of today, right? Around the improvement of the audit cycle and the productivity of the auditor and the manager that is running the control. Expense cost of it's reducing the cost of that's causing the actual remediation time, basically, right? So if you have a problem with a 3-member match and it stays open for 3 months, chances are you're going to have a higher risk than if you can close it in a month, or 2 days or 5 days. So by having that collaboration, you can go and close, remediate your risks and incidents much quicker. Just having better internal controls is an advantage, right? So you want to make sure your internal controls are effective, and it's the same version of test results that management and auditors are looking at. So by having a cloud, you have that collaborative capability. And then overall, just reducing enterprise risk by providing senior management with visibility and understanding of risk at the process level, at the enterprise level. So if you are interested in looking at a cloud solution for risk management, these would be some of the areas to consider to put a business case. So with that, I'm going to ask Barry to come in and talk a bit about the Oracle Cloud product for risk management. Thank you.
Awesome, Bill. Thank you. So let me ask a couple questions too. How many of you are familiar with the kind of problem that's being addressed there? The organization having to document risks, having to document controls, okay, having to eventually literally produce documentation that regulators going to need, auditors need. Okay, so some folks are, yeah, can I just, yeah, without blowing it up. Another question is, maybe you're familiar with some of our other products. So for example, have you heard of advanced controls before, or the control governor products? So I'm from GRC product development, and thank you. We make all these things. What I'm going to do is show you, first of all, I'm going to see if this is working. Yes, awesome. I'm going to show you what we have available in Oracle's Software as a Service Cloud in the way of GRC functionality, governance, risk management, compliance. I'm going to show you stuff. I had an oversight. I forgot to put up Oracle's usual safe harbor slide. I'm going to show you stuff that exists and stuff that does not yet exist. I'm going to be very clear about which is which, but it will help you understand what it is that we're achieving in the cloud. And in a nutshell, it is providing a set of governance, risk management, and compliance functionality for applications cloud, for ERP cloud, for HCM cloud, for supply chain cloud, functionality that Oracle's customers have across the board demonstrated a need for in the past, and they'll continue to, because their business hasn't changed and their obligations haven't changed at all. So this exists today, and this is the cloud service that Bill was just telling you about. So the idea here is you have a platform for the entire enterprise to say, here are the risks that we're concerned about. Here are the controls that address those risks. Here's how we enforce those controls. Here's how we test the effectiveness or the enforcement of those controls, including workflow to make sure that the testing gets done. And if anyone in the organization finds something that is not how it should be, then that gets acted on too. So all that information comes back in and creates a closed loop where we don't just set out the goals in the organization, but we actually make sure that we achieve them. Now, there's a couple other cloud services, and these are not available yet, the following ones. So, they'll show this too. I think we're up to about 65 subscribers now, which is pretty good for 6 months. This does not exist yet, but it's imminent. So advanced financial controls. The idea here is, okay, we have our risk and our controls. We have a bunch of people out there testing the effectiveness of the controls. Let's say a control might be something like, well, we shouldn't pay the same invoice more than once. Just shouldn't do that. How do you know? So you have people, you run reports, how do you do it? So that particular example would be very hard to determine when we can have multiple vendors, which is actually the same vendor, just slightly different names or addresses. When you can have multiple copies of the same invoice with slightly different invoice numbers. Advanced financial controls uses what mathematicians call graph logic to find those fuzzy matches too. To make it possible for organizations to test the controls, to really see what is happening compared to what we are worried about happening and what we are trying to prevent from happening. Advanced financial controls will give you the telemetry you need to actually know for sure which risks maybe were ranked low in significance, but look how many times the worried about thing is actually happening, a lot of times. So that'll be available shortly, and this will look at transactions out of the gate. We'll be looking at transactions and payables and expenses, because we found those are the two areas where our customers in the past have gotten highest ROI and fastest ROI. So we're going to start by focusing on those, and then we'll branch out to, say, like order to cash and other areas as we go along here. A little further down the road is something that I think a lot of people are mandated to have. It's analysis of the access that your ERP users have, that your HCM users have, that your supply chain users have. What can they do? Not what do they do, that was the previous one, but what could they do now is the domain of this analysis. So it digs deep into determining exactly what privileges each ERP, HCM, supply chain user has. Doesn't matter if you've created custom roles, and I know, another show of hands. Have your organization started using ERP cloud, HCM cloud, supply chain cloud? Anyone? Okay, just one. So if you've already started, maybe you used Oracle's pre-built roles, but chances are at least 50-50 that you customize, define your roles. That doesn't matter to this tool. This tool will analyze regardless. You'll find out what your users can do. And it lets you set up rules to determine, well, the following things are no-nos, like create a supplier and then pay a supplier. So this is a super common fraud. Someone has been brought into the organization, let's say, as a supplier manager, and then over time they become a payables manager. And the organization, through, well, just busyness, neglected to take away their ability to create suppliers. And now they can do both. So I can create a supplier called Berryport with my personal bank account number, and now I can make payments to Berryport also with my personal account number. And if this hasn't happened in your organization, then good on you. But it is all too common, unfortunately. But there's a lot of other drivers for this. So basically, any organization that is subject to Sarbanes-Oxley is obliged to demonstrate at this level of analysis. 10 years ago or whatever, or even plus, when Sarbanes-Oxley was first enacted, and similar kinds of regulations in other nations and for federal agencies and so on, at the outset, everybody's wondering, well, how deep do we have to go with our sampling, with our testing, with our analyses of all these different IT things that Sarbanes mandated? Well, the answer at the beginning was, well, just show us you're doing something, right? That was 10, 15 years ago. Now the audit standard has really stiffened up. So auditors, at least in North America, from basically last year forward, have been obliged to demonstrate this level of analysis in order to basically get a sign-off that, say, if you're publicly traded, that your 10Ks are valid. This is a tool like the other ones that are used by publicly traded companies. They're used by privately held but on their way to being publicly traded companies when you have more mature leadership. It's used by government agencies that are subject to the same kind of requirements. And again, not just in North America, all around the world, we're seeing deep interest in this and heavy use. Roadmap again, just to sum it up. So the solution that Bill was telling you about, financial reporting compliance available today, we're in release 11 right now in the cloud. The transaction monitoring tool, advanced financial controls, coming in the next release, which is just about imminent. And then about plus 6 months after that, the access analysis tool. So there's more. So these are the cloud services that the team I work on, and being here too, GRC product development. These are the cloud services that we have in the near term. We have plans for a lot more, but that's for another day. There is other GRC functionality in Applications Cloud. And again, we only have one person in the audience today who has been using Applications Cloud already. But for folks that worry about these kinds of things, there's functionality where my teammates are matrixed in with the developers of Application Cloud security and identity management to provide more functionality. So for example, if you want to know whether your configuration settings have changed and you want to complete an audit trail, that's baked into the platform for Applications Cloud. If you want to find configuration values that indicate some kind of area of concern, advanced financial controls, our cloud service, will be able to do that. But at the beginning, we're not going to cover a lot of setup on this, but we'll expand that over time. If you want to be able to change your user interface for ERP, for HCM, for supply chain, for example, you know what? Don't show this field to the following users. You can do that through Page Composer, and this is in all of the Applications Cloud. So it is GRC functionality, but it's not functionality that our team is developing, but rather the platform teams are developing with our help. We're putting the functionality where it matters and where it belongs, as opposed to getting hung up on what we can sell and what we can't sell. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to put the functionality where it should definitely be. Being able to alter workflows for businesses' needs. That's done on an application by application basis. And then being able to audit both the changing, the writing of transactions, but even the access to transactions, like who looked at this particular record. That's the domain of audit vault, which is also available to all the cloud subscribers. So there's a lot of built-in GRC functionality that's available. And what I want to do now is segue into what's happening this week. So hopefully you'll have time to come to some of our sessions, and this print is super fine. Plus, unfortunately, we didn't even bother writing the URL on the slide because it's like 8 miles long. So if you don't know what the Risk Cloud sessions are this week and you want to know, please just come up afterwards and give me your email address, and I'll shoot you the link right away. So you can just have the link to it. Or you can try and take a picture of the screen, of course, you're welcome to anytime. So first of all, on Tuesday, Dana, my manager, Sid Sinha, we'll talk about our general strategy, and we'll have a couple of really cool use cases. So actual subscribers get up on stage and talk about what we're doing with Risk Cloud. Then also we'll have some good stuff about going into detail about each of our solutions. So introducing financial reporting compliance. So that's the solution that Bill told you about. Introducing advanced financial controls. That's the transaction analysis. So getting more deeply into it again with folks that actually know about it and folks that are industry experts in this stuff. And lots of time in those sessions for Q&A too. There'll be panel discussions. So basically, like 2/3 of the session will be discussion to begin with you able to just raise your hand and ask any question you want during that part of the session. Very little of Oracle talking to you. It's mostly everybody talking amongst themselves. On Wednesday, we're going to introduce the access analysis tool, access controls. also on Wednesday, there are a lot of things that product development is doing to help subscribers succeed, and this is new. Now, in the on-premises world, basically, the burden fell 100% on go-to partners like Fulcrum Way to help our customers understand what to do, how to do it, why to do it. Brian's organization too in the audience, or consulting and so on, how to do all that stuff. We're sharing part of the burden in the cloud now. So we're providing, for example, something, and this is across Oracle's product lines for the cloud, something called best practice processes and solutions. So what did we actually design the cloud service to do? How did we expect that you would do it? How did we streamline both the human process and then the automation that the human process relies on? And so our first session about that is going to be towards the end of Wednesday, about the best practices for financial reporting compliance. And we will give you a thumbnail of our best practice process and solution, what to do, how to do it. This is not the be-all, end-all. More, it's a great starting point. It's kind of like we graded a path from the parking lot for the first 2 miles until you get to that real trailhead, where now you're going to start climbing up into the mountains. But we give you a great avenue to get started. And we're going to do the same thing on Thursday morning for advanced financial controls, the transaction monitoring tool. And the best practice for our third cloud service, the access controls, is almost the same as that one. So we didn't bother splitting that out to a second session. So we'll have those. And finally, there's another way that we're shouldering the burden again with our partners in Oracle Consulting. The last session on Thursday, if you can hang in there all the way till the end, is going to be about the nuts and bolts of getting started with these cloud services. So real how-to stuff about, first of all, how to talk to your organization about it, how to plan, how to line up the resources needed, what resources are needed, how to come up with a project plan, and all this, not generic stuff, but really specifically about our business processes. And we get this knowledge based on, 15 plus years of being in this business, of understanding what Oracle's customers need to do and how they want to do it. So a lot of cool sessions. Dill mentioned a couple of times about seeing demos of the software. Well, the only full-blown, super live, bona fide demo we have is for the cloud service that is already available. That's financial reporting compliance, the one that Dill was telling me about. And there is a kiosk. We're on the second floor right now. Up on the third floor, where all our sessions are, out in the lobby of the third floor, there's, you'll see they'll draw the curtains back. There's black curtains right now. They'll draw them back, and there's a bunch of kiosks there. We have a kiosk up there on the third floor. It says Risk Management Cloud on it. And you see, characters like me and Dane hanging around there, able to show you the actual living, breathing financial reporting compliance product. We'll also have at least some slide demos for the 2 advanced controls cloud services, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you have about all 3. So it's a good way to get your hands on stuff and see it for yourself. Let's see, what else do I have here? We invest a lot in enabling our partners so that we can give you the best advice and save you the most time. And we're happy to say that we have already some go-to partners for Oracle Cloud, so they made the investment in training and building up the track record and so on. This is pretty much a must-have unless your organization has done this kind of thing before. We have a LinkedIn group, which is a great place to just kind of get general information. So the name of it's down at the bottom there. It's called Oracle GRC / Risk Management Cloud. So a little hard to find, but again, come up afterwards if you want the link or something. I'll give it to you. And also, I'll be happy to send you a copy of this deck. This is super hard to read because there's so much. This is just 8 examples of information that's available to you today about Risk Cloud. Different ways to learn about what it does, why would you use it, how do you use it, how do you get started, and all that stuff, again, in pretty much exhausting detail. I think that's what I have. That's what I have. Let's see how we're doing on time. Oh, good. So just a few minutes for Q&A. Is there anything else? I didn't mean to
No,
short
no,
circuit.
that's good.
So any questions?
How are these capabilities retrofitted to like older versions or these entirely cloud-based versions?
At the moment, they're cloud-based. So the question was, everything that we've been seeing here, does it work in the retrofitted older versions, like let's say the 6 perhaps, or PeopleSoft, ADM, right? Things like that. Not at the moment, no. So job one for us was to put TRC functionality into the cloud portal. And, you know, you can see we're going as fast as we can on that. We've been working on it for a number of years behind the scenes, actually. And we're pretty close to so that's why we're in job number 3 is hopefully being able to offer web services and APIs. So partners can do it, maybe creating connectors of our own. We're still researching the feasibility of doing all that. It's kind of like, if you're familiar with on-premises products, like it's hard. But again, we want to go.
We're in this well, and we're thinking this has come up like that's a big sticking point for us.
Yeah. Thank you. Other questions?
I was wondering if anybody else sees soft computing as being a challenge for the next couple of years.
See what we get done.
Soft.
Oh, socks.
No, soft. S-A-F-T.
Okay, well, can you go with it?
It's a new building standard being applied by various different governments, like Portugal, Poland. And it's like it's a global standard, so I think in the next 5 years we can expect pretty much every country in the world to come on it. And it's very, very detailed, so it requires that we report all the links between source documents and geological. And like right now, you can probably get away with it, even in places like Poland in the next 6 months or so. But like if you're operating in Poland in 6 months' time and you're any significant size, then you would expect, I think it's like maximum $250 fine, and they don't mind camping, they find the director who's responsible for the reporting.
So is this similar to what Brazil's been going through?
It is.
It's coming from that direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think
So
did
as
you
long
have
as
you started to think about Brazil here?
So, I think that the answer is probably more complicated than I'm going to make it out to be, because obviously I haven't heard about South before, but I'm aware of what some of the things they have to deal with in Brazil.
Chile.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Turkey.
some of our subscribers are from Brazil. They're from Turkey. We already have subscribers in a lot of different parts of the world, and you can see here what it is that we do, and you can see how there's just a bunch of different flavors of obligation and regulation that all have the same kind of general intention, which is helping the business demonstrate that they're doing what they say they're doing, that they're not breaking the law, that they're acting, responsibly, and so on. And so it's all towards the same thing.
So yeah, at the moment, we have something very simple. We have simple ways to extract the data out. So just things like spreadsheets. But I totally understand. So for example, being able to use something like XBRL or something to type the data and to put it into a standard format. Because again, I know Brazil is really into this already, aren't they?
Well, Brazil started, Chile is into it, Mexico is starting,
Yeah.
Poland is starting, Luxembourg is starting,
Yeah.
Germany did it before. So all the,
Yeah.
it's really, and it's getting, I hope that I get some answers here to actually find possibilities how to approach it, because some companies who operate in these countries, they will face it just every year now in all their countries. And I try to figure out in which area of Oracle we should start to ask the right questions, how to approach that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's nice that somebody says, hey, there's something in Brazil, they do it, and we have problems there.
Right. So I'll just add to what Barry's saying quickly from a consultative standpoint. At the end of the day, what you're talking about is having a control that is effective, right? That you have evidence of a control that every journal entry has a source document that's associated with it, right? That's the control you want to be able to evidence as effective part of your audit in order to satisfy that one specific requirement, right?
The thing is, the government started to think about big data. So
Yeah, no, I understand all that. The first step, before you even go into big data and all that, at the very simplest level, it's a control that somebody in this regulator is telling you that you need to validate that it's effective, right? So the documentation of that control is the first step before you actually execute the sampling and all the other things that you're talking about. The documentation of the control can be done in Risk Management Cloud today, and we are working with, as you saw, customers around the world that don't have Sarbanes-Oxley as an issue, like the customer case study I presented. But they are interested in having that evidence of control documented as a step one. And ultimately, I think big data and all these other things will be very useful, and I think the product roadmap may get there, yeah. I know we're out of time here, so I want to...
We're in the SiG here.
Yeah.
So the special interest is the point of the direction where the government are going. Yeah. The government are going to look into your data, and you need to provide the data, and they just want to have complete data.
I mean, that's a controlled design, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they want to know there's a design of a control that ensures that
they
don't...
force you to give them the exact format how you
Right, well,
control the company.
that's what a control is.
Thing.
Yes.
Because in the past it was really easy. I need just to verify how the control was there. And now they tell me I want that in that format.
Yeah.
And that's actually where I thought, what's going on here? Like Brazil, like Chile, like Mexico, they all tell you, Turkey is coming down. They tell you, first you need to announce something, and you need to control and provide me the data in the format that we want.
We should go outside. Let's keep talking about it. We should go outside just because there's another
Okay,
session
we're
coming in.
gonna
Let's
wrap
go
up.
outside and
Thanks
talk
again
about it.
for attending. There's a sign-up sheet. If you didn't get a chance to fill it in, please do so we can send you this presentation and keep you informed of all the additional areas that are coming.